All right, hello guys. So this was not a very planned stream overall. As you guys can kind of tell, I don't have my lighting fully set up, but it's kind of there. There was a House of the Dragon panel tonight, and we ended up getting not really from the panel itself, but the actual announcement from HBO from House of the Dragon. We will be getting season 3, at least a teaser trailer, on Monday. This has been heavily speculated on by the community since really early of last week. And so that'll be interesting. I've been trying to plan when to do the live stream for that trailer for like a week now, and it just feels like it keeps getting pushed back. I'd also love, hopefully, in the teaser trailer, if we finally get a release date, that will really help with trying to plan content for the next like 2 months. But yeah, so we had basically, for you guys that don't know, there was like this panel in Mexico for, I believe it was Comic-Con or something, one of those kind of panels more or less. And they had the actors for Alicent, Kristen Cole, and then Damon. And so there were some interviews, I guess, more or less. And then they showed the trailer to the audience that was there, but not, I'm assuming, to the live stream, because it's not on social media or anything. And that's why we have the announcement that it'll be on Monday. So, as somebody that is not exactly the biggest fan of House of the Dragon at this point, but I am someone that makes content on it, I'm going to have a little rant here. It's a mini rant. It's not like anything crazy, but there was the idea that, okay, this panel was going to be live, right? And so some people on Twitter had already like put out, okay, here's the live stream. This is where you can watch the panel from. I just want to point this out. What is the point of doing a live stream if you have an hour delay on it? So, for instance, if you were somebody that was like looking for the trailer or you were looking for any information on the show, there were literally tweets coming out from the panel before the live stream even got to the cast being on stage. And then the announcement that the teaser trailer was going to be on Monday happened before in the live stream you even see the cast at all. So I just want to say that right away. That was a little annoying. I feel like I torched 30 minutes of my life away because I didn't realize, and they didn't make it, present that this was like a huge delay. You're not actually watching the panel live. So kind of made the live stream irrelevant because all the relevant information came out through just social media. But that's besides the point. So House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer will be on Monday. For any of you guys that are interested, I do actually have up what somebody said that watched it live. So let me find it here for a second. Okay, so basically the trailer showed this. This was a summary that somebody gave that I guess saw it. But they said that we see Rhaenyra heading into war, Daemon in a brutal, blood-soaked scene. I think we saw something similar to this in the first trailer. Aemond fully armored. We see Aegon II seeking revenge against his brother. We see Vhagar burning everything in sight. Plenty of moments between Daemon and Rhaenyra. Lots of battle shots and scenes of Rhaenyra riding Syrax. But in the end, apparently Vhagar stole the show. So that's like what to, I guess, expect from the trailer that was shown to the live audience, not for the general public, and all of that. Matthew says, I expect we will see dragons. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the quotes that came out from the panel were pretty generic from HBO, or I guess I should say the House of the Dragon social media. A lot of people were going crazy over this stuff, but it's like one of the quotes is literally, to hate someone, there first has to be a passion there. And that came from Olivia Cook, apparently on Alicent and Rhaenyra's relationship. And it's just like, okay. I mean, okay. And then another quote that they posted was, there's going to be a lot of dragons, in particular Caraxes. That came from Matt Smith. Or, Fabian Frankel, who plays Kristen Cole, talking about, he's driven to survive. Let's see how that plays out. Again, from Matt Smith, this season is bigger, bolder, bloodier, more brutal, and more dangerous. So it kind of feels like they're very aware that, okay, House of the Dragon Season 2, a lot of people were upset with the pacing and the lack of action. And so the promo and like the social media stuff is like, okay, guys, don't worry. The season's going to have a lot more spectacle. It's going to have a lot more action. It's kind of the vibe I got from it. So yeah, from what I can tell, and again, the live stream was an hour delayed, so I didn't really watch the actual live stream, because again, what's the point? But maybe they said more than that, and the quotes did not do them, well. But overall, it doesn't seem like they actually said much that I think would be all that relevant for people that know the story of Fire and Blood. But yeah, so if anybody, as you're coming in, you have a question about House of the Dragon Season 3, or you got anything you want to ask, feel free to do so. I'll probably move on a little bit because we'll have plenty of time to talk about the trailer. Hopefully on either Monday or at some point next week, or I guess, this week, next week, whatever. Me and Becky may be on a live stream together if our schedules work out talking about the trailer. We shall see. But yeah, that's basically all the information we have about House of the Dragon as of right now. So we'll see how that goes. Next little thing of business I want to do for just tonight's little mini stream is looking at what is the content going to look like for the channel. So I was planning this out today while I was just kind of waiting for this live stream to drop, which was 15 minutes delayed, and then had 30 minutes of a Q&A with the fans and just random stuff. So yeah, I'm still not thrilled about that. But yeah, so a lot of you guys have been liking the season content where I go through either that's season 5 or season 6. And in the poll, it was close, but you guys voted for season 7. So we will do season 7 next. I have that planned to record this week. It won't come out until likely the 6th of May. And then I'll do also a consensus point of view ranking. So in the background, I've basically been asking content creators what is their favorite point of views, and then, ranking them through their top 5. So very similar to the consensus book ranking if you watched that video. So I don't think it was as many creators responded this time, unfortunately. I think I had like 15 or 16 people involved compared to the book one, which was 20, which I totally understand. It takes a lot more time to think about what is your top 5 point of views versus what are your top 5 books. Like, everybody's going to know, okay, this is the book I tend to like the most. This is the book I tend to like the least, and then fill in the gaps. It's a much simpler question. So I got kind of met with a little bit more of like, let me think about it. And then some people got back to me. Some people didn't. But yeah, so that'll also be out in the following week. That'll be on the 8th, so that'll come out then. You guys might be wondering what happened, like the following week. Is there not going to be a Game of Thrones, like, not reaction, but like what the episode missed? So let's talk about that for a second. Unfortunately, that series has done really bad. I had expectations that it could go that way, but I mean, it's done pretty bad, like comparable to like some of my Night of the Seven Kingdoms videos that I was doing leading up to the season. But what I think I'm going to do, and I wanted to put this out there on the live stream because some of you might not get to the end of episode 5 where I talk about what I want to do with that, but I do want to finish season 1. But it doesn't make sense to do it weekly when most people on my channel are not watching. So the metric that I use is like, if a video hits 2,000 views, that's like, okay, that's adequate. That's a solid video. And then anywhere upwards of that, is just, it's a good solid video. Anything below 2,000 and it starts to get into, okay, underperformed or just a bust. So episode 1, when I posted that, I pretty much knew what the series was going to be reception-wise based on the first episode, because usually when you do a series, the first episode does the best, and then it usually declines outside of like the big moment episodes, so like the end of season 1. But just to give you guys a little run through of why I'm going to combine them. So I'm going to combine episodes 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 into just one big like finish of that series, because I want to finish, I want to finish season 1. But it doesn't make sense to weekly do it. But just so you guys can understand where I'm coming from, why I'm condensing that series. The first episode got 1.3K views in 3 weeks. That is not good at all. It's like outside of like, some outliers, is one of the worst videos I've had on my channel since A Night of the Seven Kingdoms wrapped up. And then follow that up with episode 2 at 800, episode 3 at 600, and then, a day ago, so it's not exactly, the best reference, but it's still 454 views for episode 4, Obviously, people do not want to watch it, so I'm not going to keep posting it and shoving it down your throat. So that'll all be combined into one video that I'm hoping to get done on the 15th. We'll see. That's a lot of work, but yeah. Okay, let me get back to chat. Hi, Zaz. How are you? I just hope it's a hell of a lot better than season 2. So, like, my expectation is not the expectation I had for season 2. For season 2, I had a very high expectations based upon the way House of the Dragon season 1 concluded. And so season 2 to 3, I'm just hoping season 3 can be entertaining. You know, I just hope that I'm not bored, or I'm just not, like, hating the changes and the story so much that, like, it takes me out of the story. Because I think it's a very unlikely chance that I will love season 3. You know, that it'll bring back what I felt for, like, season 1 or early season 2. I just hope it's entertaining. And so, you know, I'm not as passionate as I was for season 2. Like, you know, a lot of people love my crash out feelings I had at the end of season 2. I don't think that's going to return because I don't have the same love for the show. Like, the end of season 2 was kind of like okay, I no longer love this show, therefore I'm very, like, emotional and passionate about it. So yeah, I'm excited for season 3. Can't be worse than season 2. I think I'm more excited for House of the Dragon season 3 because of the conversations that I can have with you guys in the community about something fresh and new. You know, the conversations that, well, we haven't talked about this, but probably it's once again going to be me, Becky, Ricky, and JC. I would at least expect me, Becky, and JC. I know Ricky doesn't love the show, and so him staying up later for it is like, you know, he might not have the motivation to do it, but as of right now, we haven't had a, you know, established that's what we're doing, but it seems likely that's what we're going to do. But we'll talk about that as we get closer. Yeah, I think what Zaz says is what I kind of feel. Like, writing wise, I'm not excited. The characters, to me, fundamentally, most of them do not work anymore. But that's not to say, you know, I'm not excited to see characters like Aegon or some of the more minor characters like Alan and Adam. You know, the characters that weren't really harmed by season 2, I'm excited to see those characters. You know, I'm excited to see how they do certain battles and stuff, but the, like, complex writing side of things, I'm not really too excited for season 2 or season 3, I should say. Hi Zaz, well, welcome back. Hope you had a good time at the party. Outside of Aegon, I'm excited to see the Dragon Seeds and how they play out in the show. Yeah, I think, like, those characters that didn't get a lot of screen time in season 2, or, you know, got a little, but they did enough to, like, establish themselves. I'm excited for those characters. So I think it's weird because I think most of the fandom's like, oh, I'm excited to see what Rhaenyra and Alicent and Daemon do. I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I'm kind of like, okay, I want to see what characters like Bela do. You know, how do they do their Rhaena Nettles plot line? How do they do Ulf and Hugh? And how do they do some of those other characters that just, like, never really got the time to grow? You know, like maybe Corlys. So I don't know. How do you see a season 3 ending, and will Corlys be sidelined again? So Zaz, I think Corlys, unfortunately, is just never going to get his time in the spotlight. I don't really get why he's always sidelined, but nothing tells me he's going to get more screen time, just based upon they never promote the character or anything like that either. I don't expect to see more of him. And I think, I don't want to get into spoilers too much, Zaz, so I would say the likely place the season ends is with a certain battle that results in the death of a major character. That's the easiest way I can put it without spoiling anything, really. Bela should have some good stuff if they don't cut her big fight. Yeah, again, trying not to get into too many spoilers. I'll just say, yes, I'm excited for Bela. I was a big fan of Bela's characterization in season 2 as well, so hopefully we get more of the character. The problem I have with season 2, when you look back on it, is, like, they spent so much time focusing on Alicent, Rhaenyra, and Daemon, and things that went nowhere, that they could have spent a lot more time building up some of the weaker characters in the show that just didn't have the screen time. Like, when I look back on season 2, I look back and I go, oh wow, this was a good scene between Bela and Jace. This was a good scene between Bela and Corlys, and Bela trying to convince Corlys to become Hand of the King again. What, can we get more of that? You know, and that to me was like the thing of season 2 that I find so frustrating on a rewatch, that hopefully we'll see more of in season 3 is some of those minor characters. But I'll be honest, I don't really have much faith that that's going to be the case, given that this show has really took a firm stance on everything needs to be about Rhaenyra and Alicent. We'll see. I won't make any bold claims there. I'm excited to see Daeron. I mean, that's another strong point. I'm really excited to see Daeron and Otto. I'm so much more excited to see, I think, the green side of things, at least with some of these other characters not named Alicent or even Aemond at this point. We'll see. I don't know if we're going to see that, but, you know. I also do, going back to the idea of starting the House of the Dragon content, it would really help if I had a release date to work off of. We just don't have one right now, so hopefully the teaser trailer can help me kind of like fully fix the content calendar, because if it doesn't come out, say, until like the end of June, my content calendar's got to switch up a lot. If it's coming more towards the beginning, then we're kind of nice. So this is all subject to change, but this is the plan as of right now. I do want to get back then as we get into May and kind of the middle to end of May to get into the House of the Dragon content. On the 13th, I want to look at Daemon versus the book and the show. Look at some of the differences, the way we kind of view the character in Fire and Blood versus the show, where the show might have went wrong with the character in both season 1 and 2. I think there's a lot to say with that character. And then go into the 20th. So again, there will probably be Game of Thrones, like episodes 6 through 10, a series ending there within, probably on the 15th. The 20th, we'll do the House of the Dragon Season 1, like retrospective, similar to my Season 5, 6, and then by that point, the Season 7 video as well. Just looking at Season 1, what did it do well? What did it not do well? Maybe some of the red flags that led into Season 2 as well. Also on the 22nd, we'll do like a Daeron the Daring explained, as maybe casual fans don't know who he is, and maybe he's been shown more in the trailers, and there's maybe some hype starting to build about the character that's taken House of the Dragon like 4 years to actually introduce the character. So we'll do a video on him because I really do like his character. And then the 27th, I want to do a video on Arianne with the Winds of Winter. Just a little predictions video, nothing crazy. And then the 29th, I'm going to be looking at Rhaenys Targaryen and kind of looking at how the show fundamentally misunderstood her character and or destroyed her character. So that'll be kind of similar to the Daemon video, just another like House of the Dragon, just, you know, just looking at it. On the 3rd of June, which is, again, we're getting close to House of the Dragon Season 3, so I don't know when it's going to come out, so this is all subject to change. But I would like to get out my House of the Dragon Season 2 video, where I look at, again, similar to the House of the Dragon Season 1 video and some of the Game of Thrones retrospectives, what went wrong in that season, what worked in that season, and how we view it today, both the casual side of things and, you know, the hardcore side of things, which is different in both, right? The casual audience, you know, there's some divisiveness there on how we view Season 2. The book fans and even like content creators, some people are more forgiving of House of the Dragon Season 2. Some people like myself, and I would just say kind of like a lot of the people I work with, like JC and Ricky. I actually don't really know Becky's full thoughts on House of the Dragon, so that'll be something to talk about with her as things start to heat up with Season 3. So yeah, that'll be the 3rd of June, hopefully. We'll see. And then June 5th will be like a House of the Dragon Season 3 prep video, everything to expect from the trailers. More of a casual video for people that are not as familiar with the book material, or even just maybe need to catch up from Season 2 to Season 3. And then this June 10th video I've been planning to do for a long time. I just don't know how to fit it in. And I'm not expecting the video to do well because it's a lore video. But I want to do a video on Aegon the Uncrowned and his conflict with Maegor. I find him to be a very interesting character, just in the way of like, He's this person that should have become king after Aenys, and some of his actions are very like you could have done things a lot better outside of just, hey, let me try to directly confront Maegor, who has a better dragon, far bigger, and is way more experienced than I am. Easiest way to die. So I want to talk about him at some point, but we'll see as well. Getting back to chat, let's see if you guys have anything else you wanted to ask or say. Are you happy House of the Dragon is ending with season 4, knowing we have an Aegon's Conquest movie and possible series coming? So Zaz, this is a difficult question because if you had asked me this and I had really liked House of the Dragon season 2, I would have said no, because I do think the show, if it really fully wants to tell the story and give it all the things that it needs, time-wise to happen, I would have said you need 5 seasons. I actually did a video, I think it was pretty close to after season 2 ended, when this was getting announced that it would be 4 seasons. And I talked about all the events that have to happen in the next 2 seasons, and I really just think the pacing is going to be all over the place with how slow season 2 was versus what has to happen in season 3 and 4. So if you're somebody that really enjoys the show right now, I would say you should be kind of disappointed that it's not 5 seasons. But as somebody that doesn't really enjoy the show as much as I used to, I'm kind of just like, I'm kind of ready to move on to that next story. I'm kind of ready to move on to Aegon the Conqueror and, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and maybe a Blackfire Rebellion. I'm kind of like, which is so crazy to me because of all the stories that, HBO could have adapted, this was the one I was really wanting. And so when I was getting into the community and House of the Dragon got announced and we were getting Dance of the Dragons, I was really excited. And it's like, now it's like, man, this is some of my favorite characters in Fire and Blood, my favorite part of the book, really. And I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of ready for the next thing now. I don't know. It's crazy because Alicent takes a massive back seat in the book timeline that season 2 takes place in. She took up way too much time to me. Yeah, and we talked about this a lot with season 2, is just the showrunners were not willing to let Rhaenyra and Alicent go into the background a little bit so that other characters could have time to develop and become characters that we love, right? And I saw something that really annoyed me and frustrated me on social media this week. If you're following me on X or Twitter, you might have saw this, but I saw somebody post that George R.R. Martin wrote such a bad book that in season 2, Ryan Condal and his team had to write ways for Rhaenyra and Alicent to be like relevant in what was happening. And that right there is the fundamental, you just do not understand what this conflict is about and the problems of season 2. The reason season 2 is bad is exactly what you just stated. Because we need more Alicent, we need more Rhaenyra, we need the two meeting up. That is what destroyed this season. So and the fact that okay, the other rationale is okay, you genuinely think George R. Martin's Fire and Blood is bad, but you think House of the Dragon season 2 and Ryan Condal is a good writer of that. I don't know. And that's the whole thing, is that season 2 should have evolved characters like Jace, especially knowing what book fans know about the next season. Jace should have been a huge character in season 2, and he was a background character. Daemon should have had a very present and active role in the war. And don't get me wrong, I liked what they were trying to do with him in season 2, but you can't spend a whole season with the Harrenhal visions and then end it the way you did. You can't have a whole setup season and then fall flat on your face on the payoff. So, I don't know. It's frustrating with how they've done Corlys because I think his characterization is pretty good. I love his conflicted views on legacy and how he didn't care about Jace and Luke being Harwins. Yes, this is the thing. I said this with season 1. I've said this with season 2. Everything with the Velaryons when we actually see it, which is not often, is pretty good. The reasons people do not care about the race swap in House of the Dragon is, one, it doesn't really matter that much to the story outside of like Rhaenyra and Laenor's children, and then maybe some like lore stuff that you have to try and like figure out. But overall, it doesn't matter because the actors are fantastic, and the actor who plays Corlys is great. And the fact that you were trying to do a Corlys show, but in the show that Corlys is in already, you heavily underutilize the character is just amazing. It's just amazing. Why? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. My guess is June 14th or 21st for season 3. They usually release the show's second or third week of the release month. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good guess, Zaz. I think definitely the longer we go without like a trailer or a teaser or whatever, it just kind of like pushes it back more. So I think like, yeah, if we're getting the teaser trailer the 27th, that would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be like maybe 7 weeks out. So a little under 2 months away from your proposed date if it comes out like on the 14th. I think that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, Matthew, it'll be interesting to see how they do the Corlys dynamic with Alan and Adam. I do keep wondering why they didn't mention Daron at all until a passing mention in season 2. I also wonder how people who didn't really pay attention to him will react to him. Yeah, and this is my biggest issue with season 2 and season 1 as well, with Daron as a whole. Daron, to me, is a character that I believe in season 1, they planned to cut. Now, I don't know if this is confirmed, because George R. R. Martin didn't have like a crash out or anything, and I do think he would have been very upset if Daron was cut. But it's one of those things where Daron just not being a character at all. He's never mentioned at all. There's no, like, in the planning phases for the war, nobody mentions Daron having a dragon. It's just mind-boggling. Like, in my opinion, it almost breaks continuity, because like he's just gonna show up and like we've had one mention of him in season 2. I don't know. I think that I just think that they haven't done a good job of setting up Daron, but we'll have to see. I have high hopes for him. Kara, I know you love lore videos. There's a lot of you that do like the lore videos. It's just... So, okay, let me break down why I don't like doing lore videos, Kara. Well, okay, that's not to say I don't like doing them. I like recording them, researching them, but I'll say this. The problem with the editing for those videos is because a lot of those videos we have no shows on or no footage, it becomes immensely harder to edit them, because either I'm pulling like a billion images, and that's another thing. There's not a whole lot of great images for things outside of like 1 or 2. So it's either a very podcasty feel episode, which I don't like. I don't like when it's just like this, or it's like me just talking to the camera the whole time, and there's not a lot there for you guys to like look at. I don't like that. So the editing process is always tricky with the lore videos. And then the second thing is they just do not do well on YouTube, or they're very hit or miss. So like I could spend hours like just making a lore video that I really like. I like talking about Maegor in that time period of directly after Aegon dies. Those videos usually do very mid, right? So it's like, I don't know. It feels like, Car, the way it feels is like, okay, you're passionate about something, but it almost never has that reward. Like, because as a creator, you want, something out of it. Like, your time needs to be paid off, it kind of feels like. But the lore videos are just so hit or miss. It, like, I can post a video on the Dreadfort, okay? And it'll do really well. So then I'll be like, okay, maybe you guys really want to see a lore video on castles. I could then do, like, the Eyrie, for instance, and then it might just do terrible. So the algorithm is really flimsy on, sending that out to you guys, and then also you guys are like kind of mixed on wanting to see, it's just all over the place. Zaz says, I'm worried they'll mess up Aegon's conquest. It's really hard to mess it up, to be fair. And the thing is, a lot of people wouldn't mind changes with Aegon's conquest, because a lot of people don't really love that part of it, because it is just Aegon wrecking the kingdoms. There's not like this back and forth, conflict with like the Blackfire Rebellion or the dance or the War of the Five Kings. Like, it's not like that. It's just Aegon and his sisters just wrecking everybody. So I don't know how you really screw that up, to be fair. Like, even the animated one that I actually use in footage sometimes for B-roll, like, even they did an okay job, even though they left out, like, I'd say some key details there. But, like, I feel like it's going to be fairly hard to mess it up, to be fair. I think Ryan Connell was worried viewership wouldn't be there if Alicent and Rhaenyra took a back seat. They'd be worried that the actors being gone for episodes would hurt the show. Like, and this is the thing, is that they don't need to be gone for episodes, but like you can have them like in the background or whatever, but they don't need to be like a constant presence dominating time in episodes. Like, go back and look at the time that characters were on screen. Alicent and Rhaenyra dominated, and they shouldn't have been dominated. They should have been more like middle of the pack. Like, I don't remember exactly the like time, but they should have been like more towards the middle than they were at the very top. So, and also the other thing is, as they should have been very confident, because House of the Dragon season 1 did really well. And the things like House of the Dragon season 1 did well that people liked was like Viserys's big moment. And that was not a character that was like Rhaenyra or Alicent. Yes, they were involved in that scene and that conflict and the build up to it, but it's good writing that people, like to care about. And you have to splice that in with like, good payoffs and all that stuff. So I don't think like, I don't know, but yeah. The physical pain I can see on your face is killing me. Well, Violet, if you think this is physical pain at any point in this stream, I know you were back with me when we were doing the House of the Dragon season 2 reviews and all that. Since you are a member, right, Violet, right now? If you want, go back to my House of the Dragon season 2 finale episode that I recorded in my basement in the old setup, and it's just me alone. That is the most depressing video I've ever recorded. Well, okay, it's second most depressing video I've ever recorded on this channel, and I'm glad only members can see it, because the amount of defeat you can like just feel in my voice is just, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Kristen Cole should have probably gotten more screen time as well. It should have been a lot of the people that are actually now planning out the war and are involved with the war should have gotten more screen time. Hi, Scott. How are you? Yeah, I think Jace was not... I mean, people are very mixed on Jace, because like I can understand him feeling very annoyed about the bastards and the dragon seeds and all that, but like it kind of comes off as hollow when it's like, oh yeah, Jace, you were the one that like got the dragon seeds plot rolling. And I guess the idea is like, well, Jace didn't think that bastards were going to claim the dragons. He might have thought it was people of actual high birth or whatnot, but I don't know. He's just a fluctuating character that we don't spend enough time with to truly understand, to get to know, and to like him as a character, in my opinion. So Zaz, this is a thing that I also got frustrated by with season 2, because it just felt like every scene with Alan, Rhaenys, or Corlys was on this like shipyard. And my thing is, why not have Corlys have a scene when he's in this like small council room, I guess, on Dragonstone? You can have him have a conversation with Bela or whatever. It doesn't always need to be in the exact same spot. And yeah, episode 7 is not my favorite. But what's so interesting, right, is like a lot of you guys now, you come in here and you guys are on board of with what I thought of episode 7's ending was like. It was bad. It was an Avengers ending like shot that made no sense in reality. You have Aemond, who is actively trying to retreat from you. When you have faster dragons and you have more of them, you could just end the war and kill him right then and there. That would, like, this is not a common take when the season was dropping. When episode 7 came out, I think it was like half my community was split. I had people saying, no, you and Ricky are stupid. It was fine. Or I think JC was in that stream as well. That you guys are wrong. That scene was great. It was brilliant. So it's like, it's interesting to see like how that's not aged all that well. Did the Korra series get scrapped, or is it going to be an animated show now? I don't know. I think it's probably going to get scrapped. I don't think we're ever seeing it. Matthew says I think it's been shelved for now, but yeah, I don't think we're getting it unless it's animated. I don't think we're getting it at all. I listen to the lore videos when I'm driving home from work, so podcast like is fine for me. That is, I appreciate that. I don't know. I feel like I'm just like at a point where quality wise, I do not like putting out podcasts like that unless it's on the second channel. If it's the second channel, unfortunately, I do not have the time to edit, 40, 50-minute reread videos that usually don't do well. I just don't have the time to fully edit those to like be showing stuff from the show or book art or, the pages, the whole like that's where those episodes go. Like that's kind of like the rereads and then the podcast kind of stuff I upload in the meantime while we're waiting for me to start A Storm of Swords. That's where kind of like the podcasty stuff goes. So except Dorn was going strong. That is true, Violet, and I would honestly be more intrigued by a Dornish Conquest show than Aegon's Conquest as a whole. The Westerosi characters are more interesting than the Targaryens in the Conquest. Yeah, and the thing is, like, George just didn't really characterize Aegon and Rhaenys much outside of Visenya. Like, Visenya, because she lives the longest and we see more of her, we know more about her character based on her actions and things like that. Like, Aegon, he's just kind of like your stereotypical stoic, king. And that's what I hope from the movie is that we get to see more behind the scenes. Like we get to see more of maybe Aegon having doubts. He shows a very confident front, but maybe he has doubts about should he be taking, the kingdoms, or what does his dream really mean? Like, I hope there is more nuance to his character because we're able to show stuff from behind the scenes that are not possible in Fire and Blood. So that's what I hope, that if we're going to, take the point of view of the Targaryens, we dive more into Rhaenys and Aegon. Visenya is kind of already fleshed out. They just got to adapt her from the source material, which, if they fumble Visenya in that movie, you guys thought House of the Dragon Season 2 was bad? Yeah, there'll be a crash out if they screw that up. So that's all I'll say. Will you be doing a preparation video for season 3 like JC or with JC like you did for season 2? Probably. I don't know if it'll be like a collab, if that's what you're asking. That's actually a very good idea, Zaz. I don't know if it'll be a collab, but now that you mention it, it's probably a good idea to do. I am like planning to do a prep video. I just didn't like think about doing it as a collab. So I think we might. I know like we'll probably do a because I think what was nice about the United of the Seven Kingdoms prep stream that we did was it was more of like a prep of when we actually go live after the episodes, because you don't have a lot of time to set up once you're through the episodes because you're trying to go live as soon as possible, get those first reactions from you guys and the hype of it all. You don't have a lot of time. We have like maybe 15 minutes after the episode drops to like get set up. Everybody needs to be in the call, audio working, video working. Those are really nice streams, those prep streams, to just make sure everything's going so that, So we'll probably do that with the 4 of us, with me, Ricky, JC, Becky. I don't know if Ricky will get the episodes early again, so I don't know how handicapped he'll be in that stream. For instance, season 2, he had the first 4 episodes given to him already. So before we even did episode 1, he knew it was coming. And then he also, at some point, he got episodes 5 through 8. I'm just not sure when he got that. But yeah. Greece will be crashing out in season 3. If they do something like really, really, really stupid, maybe you'll get that crash out. And sometimes I play it up for you guys on stream. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do play it up a little bit. Like, not for season 2. That was genuinely just emotion and being mad. Sometimes I like play it up a little bit. Like when I'm not really like that angry, but like sometimes it's just entertaining. I know, but we'll see. We'll see with House of the Dragon season 3. I don't know. Yeah, Damon was not my favorite in season 2. We talked a lot about that, Matthew, but I was not a fan. The only way they could ruin Aegon's conquest is if the White Walkers help build the Iron Throne. The only thing I don't want to see with Aegon's conquest with the White Walkers is I kind of just don't want to see like the White Walkers be like the main focus of it. Like I like the idea of, okay, Aegon gets the dream, and that's what starts the conquest because he believes that a Targaryen needs to be on the throne to deal with the threat of the others. And that's what drives him maybe to do his conquest. But I don't want it to be like this lingering thing where like it's constantly in the plot, because then I think it takes away from, the conquest. So I don't know. The moment season 2 died for me is when Alicent sold out her sons to Rhaenyra in their second meeting that made absolutely no sense logically and ruins her character. Yeah, scammy, jammy. Yeah, I was not a big fan of it. There was so much wrong with the finale, and it's why I think it's the worst episode of the show by far. We'll see what they do with it. We don't know exactly how that's going to go down. I have an idea, but I'm not really going to say until maybe the teaser trailer stream because I don't want to get into spoilers. But yeah, it didn't make any sense from a logistics point of view, from a character arc point of view. It just didn't make much sense. If Jace gets annoyed at Rhaenyra and calls her an idiot for trusting Alicent, do you think that would be make the end of season 2 a bit better for you? No, I think it would make, like, I would like Jace as a character more because that would be very fitting. Like, okay, Alicent shows up to Dragonstone. She says she's going to help open the gates to King's Landing, and you didn't imprison her, for one, to use as like a hostage. You let her walk away, and now we're kind of walking into whatever she said. That makes total sense from Jace's point of view. That is good character writing for him. That still does not change the fact that how all that went down in season 2 makes no sense, and it makes both Rhaenyra and Alicent stupid. So, I would, like, it's like a two-pronged thing. It's good for one character, but it doesn't change my overall thoughts of season 2 on that idea. I don't know. How many times can people sneak in and out of Dragonstone / King's Landing? Yeah, I talked about this in a George R. R. Martin, like why he didn't like House of the Dragon season 2 video, or like the future. I mean, it happens literally almost every episode. Like, and some of it makes sense, but some of it doesn't make sense. So, I want to see places outside of Westeros, like YT or Ashai or all that. That'd be cool. I'm personally the most interested in Westeros. I just feel like whenever the story goes to Essos, basically my interest just goes down. So I don't know what they would do with that, but I would be interested to see Ashai, I guess, specifically. I listen to the reread channel when driving sometimes. Well, I appreciate that. For people that don't know, I finished A Clash of Kings this year, and like, what, a couple weeks ago maybe. And yeah, we finished the first 2 books, probably the easiest of the 5 to finish because they're shorter. A Storm of Swords is still like, it has a lot of chapters and it's longer, but the chapters aren't super long. Whereas like A Feast for Crows is where, boy, Feast for Crows is going to be, it's going to be tough to get those out every week, but we shall see. Having the show from the Westerosi characters would be very interesting, and the Targs are just this terrifying, otherworldly force that they just can't beat. Yeah, Violet, my thing with this, because I do think it's an interesting premise, and I do think it's an interesting idea that might make it a bit more interesting, I just don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if they have the balls to do that, because that's a tough thing to do. Because think about what the pitch is. Everybody loves the Targaryens, they love the dragons. The movie you are painting is, okay, we don't see it from the Targaryen point of view. We do not spend as much time with them. We see it from the Westerosi point of view, viewing the Targaryens as foreigners, invaders, killing their people, all that stuff. I don't know. I don't think HBO has the balls to do that, but we shall see. Yeah, Visenya Violet she is the character of the opening of Fire and Blood. She is the best character. There's some great characters around her as well. Like I think Aenys and Magor are both characterized pretty well. I do like Aegon the Uncrowned, and then also Rhaena. So, and then you have Jaehaerys. There's a lot of interesting characters, especially as you get to the generation like after Visenya. I want to see Maegor's reign adapted, but I think they will have to water down lots of aspects about it. The Black Brides is pretty dark. Yeah, I mean, if you're ever going to do a Maegor show, you cannot do it the way Fire and Blood is. It's too dark. How would you feel, Grease, if a major character death happens in season 3 without spoilers because of Rhaenyra siding with Alicent? I'm trying to think of what you're exactly pointing to. Major death happens in season 3 without spoilers because of Rhaenyra siding with Alicent. You're gonna have to give me more context there. I'm not exactly sure who you're referring to. I might be like just not thinking correctly. It is like almost 10 o'clock here, but yeah. Feast and Dance are going to be the gauntlet. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Feast is theoretically it should actually be a quick book. Like if I'm working on the premise of, oh, I get a chapter done every week, it's actually a very quick book. It's only like 40-ish chapters, I think. The problem is you've got Brienne chapters that are like 30 pages long, like the length of a Crescent chapter, and that's like every week. So, do you think we could see a young Maegor in the movie, and could it set up a series? So, unless they do the Dornish conquest, no, because Aegon, or not Aegon, Maegor isn't even born until Aegon's already conquered the kingdoms. So, unless they do something where it's like Aegon conquers and he has now established himself, and we get a little like flash forward / tease to like a show coming out, I don't think we will see that because it doesn't fit into Aegon's conquest unless they extend it a little. But yeah, no, I mean, the reason I'm excited for the Aegon's Conquest movie is mainly because if it does well, I think that lends to the credence of, okay, let's do a Sons of the Dragon show with Aenys, Maegor, and that whole thing. My thing with Maegor that I think would be really interesting is to not show Maegor from Maegor's point of view. That's how I would do the character. I would do the character from showing him from multiple point of views and just rationalizing and trying to figure out who he is from an outsider's point of view. That's what I think would be very interesting, because that's the way it is in Fire and Blood, of course. But like, because there's arguments you can make. Like, remember, in Fire and Blood, when Maegor first becomes king, he's well liked. But then because he overdoes violence and the horrible things that he does, that's where he loses the support. So I think it'd be interesting to go from like somebody close to him maybe, or like people around him and the different viewpoints on him. So like, for instance, Alyssa Velaryon, or I guess Alyssa Targaryen, she becomes queen. How does she view Maegor? And then maybe you see it from like Visenya's side of things. How does Visenya like look at Maegor? You can start to like think about, okay, how did Westeros overall view him and how that slowly declines? That to me is the premise I would do Maegor off of. Because then that way you don't actually have to show all of Maegor's atrocities that maybe happen in private. Like, of course, you're going to show some of them because they're important to the story. But like, you can kind of look at him from like different point of views and try to find out who he is. That's the way I would do it. Do you think HBO will stray away from Game of Thrones shows and towards movies? No. The shows are the bread and butter. I think with the movie, I think Aegon's Conquest is more of like a test trial for like, would people like to see the Dornish Conquest or some of the stuff before the dance? I think that's what the movie is, and I think Aegon's Conquest is better as a movie in general. I don't think it needed to be a show, and so I think HBO, for once, saw that and was like, yeah, okay, this makes more sense to do as a movie. Because remember, there was a rumor it was going to be both, that there was going to be some sort of Aegon in him having a show. Maybe that's still going to be a thing, and maybe that's actually going to be the Dornish conquest, but there was rumors for both. Dornish War or Maegor's Reign? Okay, well, I'm really biased. I would always pick Maegor's Reign. I want to see live action Maegor, Visenya, Aenys, Rhaena, Aegon the Uncrowned, Jaehaerys, all the awesome characters of that time period. I'm picking them. The Dornish Conquest would be interesting, but I'm not as, hi, Efront, how are you? A show from Rhaena's point of view would be really cool. That would be a cool, like, I would hope Rhaena would be like almost like a viewing character into like Aegon the Uncrowned. Then how does she view Maegor, especially as that connection, happens later on? I think that would be a really good character to view Maegor from, the light of like, he's not a good guy, more or less. And also, of course, you could do this with the common people as well. How do they view Maegor? There's just, there's so much juicy stuff you could do with that show. The way I'm talking right now is how I used to talk about House of the Dragon, and like that's where the frustration is right there. It's like, there's so many cool things you could do. We'll just have to see. I feel like a Doom of Valyria movie would work well. Yes and no, because on one hand, yes, if you're gonna do the Doom of Valyria, I think do it as a movie. But I think, man, you really have nothing. I mean, not nothing. You have some things to work off of, but you just don't have a ton of source material to make a movie. So, like, I feel like George would have to be really involved in that movie for it to work. But I don't know. If the Blackfire Rebellion became a movie instead of a series, what would your... that would be a terrible idea. I hate that in so many levels, because the Blackfire Rebellion is so similar to House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, where you have the setup perfectly there. You have the Targaryen family is starting to break apart. You're having factions within it. You have a king that, in this case, is not very good, in Aegon IV. Then his death, it sparks this huge big thing, and that leads into the war. Does that remind you of anything? So having that be a movie, I don't like that, because you'd have to like basically have a bunch of like almost either flashbacks or time skips, where it's like you have to introduce the idea in like a prologue, similar to like House of the Dragon episode 1, where Aegon IV has made all of his bastards legit, and that has caused some chaos, and there's like this split in the factions, and then you walk into these characters, and we've skipped so much of how we get to that point, and understanding the very complex things George was writing for why that conflict happened. I mean, there's a reason with my Blackfire series, I never completed it, but there was just so much to it that you have to explore to like almost understand the actual conflict that's about to happen. And then the conflict itself is actually quite short. It's really the build up to it is the interesting part. So I would really hate it being a movie versus a show. Yeah, Maegor on screen would be really cool to see. I agree, Matthew. The problem with Doom of Valyria is I feel like George wants to keep what really happened there a mystery. Yeah, that's also like my interesting thing about the play for Robert's Rebellion. I don't think it's going to have anything in there that's like super revealing. Oh, hello, Rhea. You finally made an appearance. By the way, this cat right here has jumped on my desk every time I have recorded, whether it be on this channel, doing intros for the second channel, whether it's my true crime channel. Every time I record, it's like her, okay, let me jump on the desk. So yeah, she's a little bit, because I have less stuff on my desk now, as you guys can kind of see. That's her invitation to just jump up there. So yeah. Oh, but like I was saying, with the Robert's Rebellion play, I don't expect it to be anything like too revealing or anything like that, because it wouldn't make sense to do that if George is trying to keep it a mystery for wins. Um, Even if there's any or hardly any material, maybe they could get good writers for that one. I don't know if they can make it interesting enough though. Yeah, I mean, I think they could make the Doom of Valyria interesting if they did it right. Like you could lean into the Faceless Men and their origin, and maybe that helped take down the Doom of Valyria, or the if that helped take down Valyria and the Valyrians and all that stuff, and you'd have the obvious connection to this is well the Targaryens and their ancestry. Well, Targaryens aren't actually at Valyria, but like you get the point. I think it could be. It's just you know some of the projects we've seen with HBO. Sometimes it varies in the writing department. I think we'll get lots of what happened at the tourney revealed in the final two books. Yeah, so like that's my thing with the play. I know a lot of people are excited, and I'm not even sure if we're actually even going to get to like see like a recorded version of it or anything, or if we're just going to have to go off of what people say that watch the play. But I don't expect like, oh, the Mystery Knight's going to be revealed, or not the Night of the Laughing Tree, I should say. I don't expect that to be revealed to be Lyanna or anything. I don't expect like there to be huge reveals, but like, I think they'll cover kind of the stuff we already know would be my guess. Maybe there's like one or two mini reveals there, but I don't know. I love that cat Zero fucks given. Yeah, she's living up to her namesake more and more. So at first, because she was getting used to things, she was a very shy kitty, and she was a little, she's kind of a loving cat, I guess I should say. She still is, but she and my mom do not get along, and I would say it's more her than my mom. My mom wants this cat to like her, but she's showing her Reina side, if I should say that. But yeah, she very much likes to, she likes to be the spotlight of attention. She wants to help you record, yes. She does help with intro moments sometimes. She makes it funny, or you guys just get, a little cuteness montage. It's kind of like the tragedy at Summerhall where George wants that kept a mystery. Well, does he? Because, it seems like he's telling actors, what's going on. Ryan Condal could direct the Doom of Valyria and Greece will be lined up. Ryan Condal directing that would be a choice. It would be a choice. I think some things are just better a mystery so you can let your mind run wild. I think the Doom is better and never really explained in any real detail. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think little nods here are really cool. Like Arya talking with the Faceless Men, and like, oh, there's this little tidbit about Valyria that they might have been involved in how it was taken down. That's really cool. I always forget so it's the guy's name is the Kindly Man, right? That's the guy that Arya is like basically studying under. I always forget his name or I get it mixed up. Or want to say Jaqen because of the show. Everyone thinks the main reason behind the tourney was to have an opportunity to have a council, to have a council to plot to place Rhaegar on the throne. Yes, that's something I genuinely think could be revealed in the play. Like that's something that I think could be something they do. I don't know. I almost feel like that's canon at this point, that's what was happening. But, who knows? Maybe that's playing into Aerys being very paranoid and the things Varys was telling him. Very interested to see how they do a Aerys, like, in the play. Like, I wonder what he's going to look like. So, yeah, the Kindly Man, I think he has a worm in his eye. Yeah, yeah. The Kindly Man is just very, I would say, much cooler than Jaqen. Jaqen in the show just has a cool voice. There's not exactly anything like that mysterious about him. In the later seasons, anyway. I'm interested in what happens with Daemon in season 3. More Harrenhal shenanigans. Well, okay. So Daemon's kind of off the rocker based on where the book character is. Like, in the book, Daemon is the one that orchestrates some of the events Alicent has said to Rhaenyra without going into spoilers. And based upon the trailers, Daemon's going to be much more involved with some of the things happening in the south with the Hightower army in Daron. So again, I think his plot's going to be probably different. I don't think it's going to involve Harrenhal. But there will be another character involved with Harrenhal, I believe. He better have those long, dirty nails. That is true, Violet. He better. But yeah, so again, I did not expect to go this long, but a lot of you guys had some cool talking points, a lot of things you wanted to talk about. So yeah, just look out for, probably will be a stream, if not Monday, Tuesday or Thursday. But it'll probably be Monday after the trailer drops. Hopefully, me and Becky can schedule something out. If not, it might just be me again talking to you guys. And yeah, and then the videos this week were what videos I have going up this week? We've got episode 5 for the Game of Thrones like watch, more or less. And then I have a pretty big one coming out on Wednesday, which is A Song of Ice and Fire fandom and the state of things in 2026. That was a very interesting video to record and do a little bit of research on. It's a follow-up to my 2025 video, so if you watched that, it's basically a direct like sequel to that, looking at, is the fandom still declining? Is it not? How did A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms factor into that? It'll be a little interesting conversation. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next stream or video. Bye, guys.